Hey guys, Dave and Stacie from Korman Productions. We're on our way to New York to see Scott Bakula.
We're on the train. We're, what are we, about an hour and a half away. And we're going to have a great day.
Yep, exciting stuff. I even shaved my head for this. Didn't shave my legs off. So it should be fun. Hey guys, we're currently at the NCC Theater to see The Connector and Scott Bakula.
They just opened a theater. We are seated and we're all ready. It's so exciting.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Korman Productions with my co-host Stacie. We are here to talk about a trip that we took to New York to see Scott Bakula.
Yay!
But that's not the only thing that we are talking about today, because you see, this is our 100th episode together under the Korman Productions Deep Dive TV podcast umbrella.
Yeah.
I mean, I've certainly done way more videos besides that.
This is our 100th episode as per our IMDb credits.
Right.
Now, if you look at different places, that number's going to vary a little bit.
Right.
Like our RSS feed includes some other stuff that Dave's done alone that we didn't count as official episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, on YouTube, there's lots of other bonus content and random videos, and it's what gets counted as an episode and what isn't an episode, and you're gonna see different numbers no matter where you look. But according to IMDb,
Yep.
this is our 100th.
Yes.
And what a better spot to put our number 100 celebration than we met Scott Bakula.
Yes, pretty exciting stuff.
And specifically, we met Scott Bakula because we went to see his off-Broadway show, The Connector.
Yes,
So we're going to talk about The Connector, a little bit about the show and the great cast and how wonderful of an experience that was. But we met Scott Bakula.
we met Scott Bakula.
Which was super, super amazing. So we're going to include for you today a lot of randomness.
Yes, this is not going to be a typical organized podcast so much as just us talking about our trip and just basically a random assortment of everything.
And did we mention we met Scott Bakula?
Yeah. Did we mention that? Did we mention the fact that we met Scott Bakula?
And took our pictures with him?
I know, right? I was standing right there.
His autograph.
His arm was around me.
I know. He gave me a hug.
That's great stuff, isn't it?
I mean, my goodness. We also got to meet his publicist, Jay Schwartz.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. And we also got to meet in person.
Yeah.
Christopher DeFilippis.
Yes.
From the Quantum Leap podcast, as well as Quantum Leap after show co-host John Irons.
Christopher also wrote Foreknowledge.
Yes.
Which is a book that I read in my teens. And I imagine if I were to tell Chris this, he would have a similar reaction as Scott Bakula's character did to the younger person that he had taken a shine to in The Connector. And that would be F.U. And that's the edited version of that. But it was a very funny moment.
We'll talk more about all of them as we talk about, we'll walk through how our day went and all this adventures that we had in New York and seeing the play and all of that good stuff. But before we get there, we have some things to talk about.
Yes. First of all, we have some sad news. That would be Shita Rivera. She passed away. She was a Tony Award-winning actress who originated the role of Anita in West Side Story.
Yeah, among many other great accomplishments throughout her career. And this seemed like the right place to pay tribute to her since we are talking about the theater today.
Yep, she was that play originated off Broadway, or on Broadway, actually, I should say. Then we have Hinton Battle. We already did this announcement when we were talking Quantum Leap today. But Hinton Battle played Thames on the original series. He was a hologram for Zoe, who was an Evil Leaper in the final Evil Leaper episode.
And Hinton also had quite a theater career as well.
Yes, indeed. And we have a lot of shout-outs. Our shout-outs today...
Our shout-outs for everybody who helped us get here. 100 episodes.
I know.
And guess
right?
what? People are still listening to us talk.
I know. It's craziness.
So within those 100 episodes, we've covered Quantum Leap original series.
Mm-hmm.
We've covered Quantum Leap 2022.
Yes.
We have covered From on MGM Plus.
Yep.
We have covered Sullivan's Crossing, airing in the U.S. on the CW, originally airing on CTV in Canada. And we are now covering Extended Family on NBC. Great new sitcom that is out. And we've done some other stuff as well. There's a couple movies we did in there.
Yep.
We've talked about Stephen King's Under the Dome.
Which we will probably get back to eventually.
We're going to get back to.
Yeah.
And we just talk about all things random media
that we enjoy.
Messiness.
Yeah, basically.
We've talked about awards shows.
Yep. We after this, we'll be talking about the Saturn Awards. That will be the next episode that will air from us. We've already recorded it, but nevertheless, it's going to drop after this one.
Because this needed to be number 100.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't have been very exciting. Here's our 100th episode. Let's talk about the Saturn Awards where none of our shows won.
Right.
So instead, here's our 100th episode. We met Scott Bakula.
We did, indeed, meet Scott Bakula. Have we mentioned that fact yet?
Another 12 times or so should do it.
All right, so in the vein of this being the 100th episode, we are going to shout out many of the people that have listened to us and commented and supported the channel over these last couple of years of us being together.
Over these last 100 episodes.
Right, yep. So we got Ashley Wright, who, by the way, also commented on one of the posts involving us meeting Scott Bakula. He wanted to know if Scott had talked about the new series at all, whether he was going to appear or not. Yes, he did, and it seems like he's basically not interested. We're going to get back to that, and I'm actually going to show a clip of him actually saying that because we took that video. And he also asked if we asked Scott Bakula for T'Pol's number. T'Pol being the Vulcan in the Star Trek Enterprise series. She was a very attractive woman played by Jolene Bullock. And no, I did not ask Scott Bakula for T'Pol's number. I doubt he would have given it to me even if I had. But yes, so I have actually a legitimate reason other than the fact that this is 100 episodes to bring him up.
Okay.
We got Kelly M, who mostly comments on the new Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
Yep. Hasn't watched the original series.
Yes, but Kelly, we encourage you to go do that.
Yes.
When you have a spare 100 hours.
And she also thought it was really cool that we met Scott Bakula, despite not watching the original series. Yeah. We got Mark Davidson, who's been a regular supporter of the channel. Latrice, who comments on From-related stuff. Skylar Anderson, who commented on our
Sullivan's Crossing videos.
He was a regular supporter of that. We got Jesse Targum, daughter of Tommy Thompson, who I on and off talk to. She occasionally disappears.
And that would be one of the writers of the original series.
Yes. Chris Coleman, who supports, I think he both comments on the original series as well as the new series stuff. And we got Faith Chavez, who is both a...
Faith Chavez.
Chavez, my bad. Who basically comments on our... is a major supporter of the channel. Supports pretty much everything we do.
Faith is pretty awesome. Faith is a background actress.
Yes.
Working out of the Nova Scotia region, who has put us in touch with some great people and seems to watch, I think, all of the shows that we talk about, which is much a weird intersection of things. Faith has been a great supporter of us on social media.
So does she actually watch Extended Family, or does she just like our content?
Maybe not Extended Family.
Yeah, okay.
But everything else she watches.
Yes. And I didn't write this down, but I also should shout out Carla Mack.
Of course.
Who I met during the course of this 100 episodes.
Carla's brother.
Yep, Russell Sutherland.
Yep.
Carla being, my crush from Canada, who is a background actress in one of my all-time favorite series, The X-Files, as well as a award-nominated voice actress in her own right. And she has a credit on Internet Movie Database from us, which she moved up to be more, pronounced on her Internet Movie Database page to help support us. So I definitely appreciate that. And
just everybody. Even if we missed you, sorry.
But
everybody who has taken the time to comment, to like, to subscribe. I mean, we're at what, 1,600 plus?
1,658 as of today.
So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you for following the channel, because before we started this podcast, your number I know was much lower than that.
Yes, very much so.
So everybody who has even listened to one episode.
In fact, I think I was below 1,000 when we started the channel.
Yes.
Well, not when I started the channel.
When we started the podcast specifically.
Yeah, when we joined forces.
So thank you, everybody.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
you know what? There's no point in us sitting here talking to camera every single week if nobody listens.
Right. You know.
And you've been listening, and you guys are amazing, and that's why we're still here, and that's why the channel has now grown to what it is.
Absolutely.
And we're on IMDb.
Right.
Like, we're a real thing here. People care. People listen to us talk.
And of course,
and mispronounce names.
Of course.
That's why half of them are here. It's just to hear how we mispronounce names.
Actually, I think Ashley Wright as much as said that at one point.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I'm pretty sure he was joking, but I don't really know. That could be very well the reason why. And you know what? I have to offer one last shout out before we get into another tier of shout outs.
Okay.
To my co-host Stacie. Without you, this would not be what it is. You know, I didn't have any ambitions to do interviews, and you have made that happen. So special shout out for you.
Thank you so much. I know I do a lot around here.
Yes, you do.
And also a shout out to my husband, Adam, who we have credited as a producer on the series.
Yes.
Because he has offered lots of financial support.
Yes.
To make this show happen.
Right. Absolutely. And then, we have to thank Reed Price, who plays Tom and Rob in the series that we cover from In Sullivan's Crossing. Shelley Thompson, who also appeared in Sullivan's Crossing, and who we interviewed and talked about her upcoming book, The Roar. I think it's just Roar.
Roar. And it's not upcoming anymore. It is out now.
Yes, so you can actually buy it based on a movie that she directed that also happened to star Reed Price.
Yes.
Which was the Dawn, Her Father, and the Tractor. Did I get that name right?
Dawn, Her Dad, and the Tractor.
Okay.
I think.
Yep, and I wish I could have seen that movie. Unfortunately, so far it has not been available to us.
Yeah.
Lindora, who interviewed with us recently with her on-screen brother, Reed Price.
Yep, Lindora plays Sydney on Sullivan's Crossing.
And, of course, Deborah Pratt.
Who
we had a chance to interview from the original Quantum Leap, and that was a big moment for us, for sure.
And we were talking to Deborah Pratt about her graphic novel, Warrior One, and that was amazing. That was an amazing moment to get to talk to Deborah Pratt.
Yes.
So those names we just listed, those are the people who have given us the honor of coming on our show and letting us talk to you. And we do have some other people we are talking to about coming on to do that. And it's an honor. It's an honor for us to be able to interact with the people who make the media that we love.
Yes, absolutely. And, to be able to, ask her the question about why she chose not to bring Sam Beckett home in the original finale. I got a chance to ask that question, and she gave me a pretty good answer, I think. And I think, it gave me a little bit of closure that I didn't have originally. That's a wound that's been gaping for about 30 years now. But anyway, moving along. So we should also shout out the podcasts.
Yes.
That our sister and brother podcast.
The other podcasts that we have networked with and gotten to know these people.
Yeah.
People that we listened to.
Right.
Before we had a podcast.
Right.
People who we know of, and now we're friends with all of these people.
Yes.
Like, how insane is that?
We have the Quantum Leap podcast, who we got to meet Christopher DeFilippis from that podcast. I think I already mentioned him. Did I already talk about that situation? Okay, but also his co-host, John Irons. I didn't know I was meeting John Irons when I was meeting John Irons. I honestly thought that he was a friend of Christopher's. I did not realize that he was who he actually turned out to be. And I didn't know that until after the fact. So my bad, John. But it was also an honor to meet you as well. We have...
And of course, not that we met that day, but we also get to speak quite regularly to Albie.
Yes.
Of the Quantum Leap podcast.
We were hoping to actually meet him there.
I know.
And he was supposed to go. But
and he didn't end up being able to make it. But someday.
Yeah.
Someday, Albie, when you come up north, let us know and we're going to come meet you. And of course, we got to have a relationship with Matt Dale before he passed, which is an honor to have been able to speak with him.
Yeah.
And I have his book right here, actually, which I brought to New York with me.
Yes.
I back and forth if I should bring it because it's quite heavy. And we were walking around New York all day, and I was like, do I want to carry this all day? And I did it, and I'm so glad I did because I got Christopher to sign it, whose name is on the dedication page. He signed my Beyond the Mirror image, and it's the item that I chose to have Scott Bakula sign. So it now has 3 autographs in it, which I treasure dearly.
Yes. And you actually mentioned Matt Dale to Scott Bakula, which Albie watched the clip of that, and he found that very touching. That's what he told me. By the way, I also did bring up the that we would be open to future collaborations with him. He's going to use some of the footage that I took from that day in his podcast.
We are open to collaborations with all of our friends at all of the other podcasts. So if anybody wants to do anything, hit us up.
Right.
Including Fandom Entanglement, who's on our list to thank, who I appeared on their show last week.
Yeah.
Talking about the Quantum Leap episode off the cuff.
Yep.
And that is Damon and Mike and Brian Green is
of
on there.
AlicePlace.com.
And MJ, thank you guys so much for having me. And it's so great to get to interact with all of you as well. And of course, let's not forget Fate's Wide Wheel.
Yep.
Sam Fain, who has become a great friend as well. And the former Fate's Wide Wheel co-host, Dennis, which we've gotten a great friendship with Dennis as well. And Dennis is now doing the Dad to the Future content, which is awesome. So hopefully we get to work with Dennis some more in the future as well. And those are all Quantum Leap related. And then I wanted to throw in there the What Is From cast, Alex and Lizzie, who cover the series from, which I listened to again from season 1 before we ever even thought about covering from.
Right. And it's funny because you didn't exactly appear on their show, but you have been in several Instagram Lives with them. I have been
on Instagram Live with them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and have chatted with Alex and Lizzie, and they are great people. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that covers it for
our thank yous to everybody who has been a part of this.
Right. And, I got to throw out a special thanks to Scott Bakula.
Special thanks to Scott Bakula.
By the way, I got to meet.
We got to meet.
Yes, we got to meet. On Saturday when we went to see the show The Connector.
The Connector in New York at the MCC Theater on 52nd Street. The Connector is a musical.
Yep.
It was based on the book written by Jonathan Mark Sherman. The music and lyrics are by Jason Robert Brown, which Scott has been on record saying that's the reason he got involved in this, because he loves working with Jason. And it's directed by Daisy Prince. We have a female-directed show, which is awesome. And choreography is by Carla Puno Garcia. So we'll talk a little bit more about the show, but let's just go through our day.
Yes.
Because this was an adventure for us, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's not as big of an adventure as, say, the Quantum Leap fans who flew in from Germany. There were several.
Yeah.
We got to see them at the show. So amazing that you flew around the world for this. That's amazing. And people came from all over the place as well. We didn't have as far to travel.
No, but okay, so originally we were supposed to go to New York with your husband Adam, and Julia was gonna, of course, spend the day with him. We couldn't get either one of them a seat. I mean, we could have, but they wouldn't have been anywhere near us.
Yeah, so we were a little late to the game of getting tickets, and we bought the last pair of tickets that was together. And we bought tickets that were labeled obstructed view. Yeah. And nobody wanted those seats.
Right.
But we did. We said, we want to go to this show. Why did we not buy tickets sooner?
Right.
And we bought the last pair of tickets. There were still 3 straggling seats here and there. But the show ended up selling out. It was a sold-out performance. And I'll just say right now, since I brought it up there, our seats were not obstructed.
No, they were great seats.
They were great seats. I don't think there's a bad seat in that house. It's very intimate theater. Yeah. And that was amazing. Yeah. That it was this cozy little small group performance. And I sure hope anybody who has the opportunity to go to New York and see The Connector, they're there through the beginning of March. So check into that if at all possible.
You should definitely go see the show. It's a fun, good show.
Yeah. So as I started off saying, we didn't have as far to travel as a lot of people. We were in Connecticut. Yeah. So 45 minutes to the train station, and then a 2-hour train ride got us to Grand Central.
Now, Adam ended up dropping out of going to New York.
Yes.
He didn't want to go and do nothing. And, he felt it would be easier to watch Julia in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
As
And
opposed...
he had some other stuff he wanted to do. So,
I mean, which is all fair. But neither one of us, has ever gone to New York solo without, Adam or somebody who knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
So we were not...
Both Dave and I were very confident in ourselves.
Right.
In our ability to navigate through the city.
Mm-hmm.
And big surprise.
Yeah.
Nothing terrible happened.
Yes. Nothing even bad happened. Yeah. Basically, we got on the train.
Yeah, we took a Metro North train.
Yep.
And the train went well. We ended up at Grand Central.
Yep.
And then we said, no.
Right. We didn't really want to navigate the subway system, so we decided to just walk because it was only a 36-minute walk.
Yeah, and even though it was cold out, it was a beautiful day.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful day for walking.
And I basically GPSed the MCC Theater and ended up right there.
And we traversed New York. So we walked to Times Square.
Yeah.
Which was actually not that crowded in the afternoon.
No,
Every time the only part that was crowded was the ticket line for the theater tickets. But it was a easy navigating in the afternoon. The streets were not too crowded. And we stopped and had lunch at Jollibee in Times Square. No, I've never heard of this place before.
No, neither have I.
It was a really strange experience. And I don't know, is this I didn't even look it up. Is it I'm sure, assuming it's some kind of a chain, but how big of a chain is this? Because I've literally never heard of this place before.
It had a weird collection of food.
Its advertising all said chicken and burgers, which I don't know. To me, that's weird. And then on the menu, they also had a whole spaghetti menu.
Yeah, and
it was strange, right?
Yeah. It was definitely a weird
We definitely don't have that restaurant up here.
No.
So I don't know. You guys let me know. Have you ever heard of Jollibee? Do they exist in other places? They must.
Right.
But where? Where do they exist?
Mm-hmm.
My food was okay. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, mine was also okay. I just got a burger. Yeah, nothing special.
Yeah, so we had lunch.
Yep.
And then we continued to walk. We walked up Broadway.
Yes.
Which was beautiful.
Yep.
We walked past the building where Back to the Future is being held at that theater.
We walked past that twice.
We walked past both sides of it.
Yep.
Actually. So we went up a different street on the way back. And I know Christopher and a couple other people that were there went to that show afterwards.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we had planned to do that. That would have been fun.
It would have been.
I hadn't even thought of it. I knew that show was in town, but I hadn't thought about doing it.
Yeah.
And Adam wants to see it, so we got to go back and see Back to the Future sometime before it leaves Broadway.
Absolutely.
We'll make a plan of that. And
we ended up at the MCC Theater with plenty of time to spare.
Plenty of time. The show was at 2:00. We got there about 1:15.
Something like that.
And we were able to go right into the building. The small building, the lobby was small.
Mm-hmm.
And we went in and used the bathroom, of course, because that's always a concern in the
in
city
York.
Is finding bathrooms and having bathroom opportunities. So after that, we just got a cup of coffee and we just kind of hung out in the lobby, and we were surrounded by all of these amazing Quantum Leap fans.
Some of which I'm pretty sure we've interacted with.
Yes,
on Facebook,
definitely
in
people that are in my Facebook group, Quantum Leap 2022, people that are in the other Quantum Leap groups, and people that, we got to see who the Germans were.
Yes.
And I don't have your name in front of me, so I apologize. I'm not shouting out by name, but we'd seen in the groups that people were coming from Germany, and so that was exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And just to hear the conversations and the energy in this room. Everybody was talking about the show, talking about Scott. By the show, I mean Quantum Leap.
Right, yes.
It was a room full of Quantum Leap fans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's specifically because this showing that we were going through, and I don't know if we actually specifically said this, was pre-scheduled to have a Q&A afterwards with Scott Bakula.
Yes.
And that's the reason that Quantum Leap people ended up at this specific show. Now, I know Quantum Leap fans have gone to other showings and are going to continue to go.
We've seen some posts on that.
But I feel like this was primarily Quantum Leap people versus people who just wanted to go see the connector.
Right.
That we're going to... I'm sure there were some people there that had no idea
who Scott Bakula was.
I don't know. Is that a thing? Do people not know who Scott Bakula is? Actually, that is a thing. Because I've mentioned this to a few people who aren't in these circles, and they're like, what?
Right.
I had to look up who that was. And I'm like, you don't know who Scott And the same thing, Deborah Pratt. You don't know who Deborah Pratt. How do people not know? These are household names in our house.
Right. I mean, like, there are people that were born after we were that perhaps were not familiar with the original Quantum Leap or with Scott Bakula or with Deborah Pratt.
But this was definitely a Quantum Leap fandom.
These were our people.
Grouping.
Yes.
And it was just really great to just sit there and listen to people chatter and be so excited to see each other. People were reuniting that had met at prior conventions and prior events. There were people there that worked on the show. Mm-hmm. And
I'm pretty sure we talked to at least one of them.
Yeah, but she didn't seem too interested in talking to us, so we didn't bother her. But yeah. And it was just an energy and an excitement. And then they opened the theater for us and we got to find our seats. And we were expecting some bad seats, right?
Right.
We were told, you're buying obstructed view seats. And we're like, we just want to be in the room. That's okay.
I thought there was going to be like a pole in front of me and I was going to have to go like, oh, look around. And none of that.
There's only 9 rows in the theater. And then there's the balcony. I don't know how many rows are in the balcony because we weren't up there. But in the main floor, there's only 9 rows. Mm-hmm. We were in row 8. And it still felt like we were right there on stage. Yeah,
like when the show started and Bakula came out on the stage, it's like, wow, I'm like so much closer to Scott Bakula than I've ever been in my life.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw him clear as day. He was right there.
So yeah, even the ones that are being advertised as bad seats are beautiful seats. Mm-hmm. And I had no complaints about our seats whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And the show is sold out, but we ended up with a pair of seats right in our row that wasn't filled.
Right.
Somebody didn't come. And
maybe it was Albie's seat.
I mean, maybe. Although I'm pretty sure he said he gave his tickets away. Mm-hmm. So the gentleman, there was no seats on the side of me. I was sitting right next to I don't know what that was, like electrical center area where there was a guy sitting with a laptop and doing lights and music and whatever he was doing. So there was nobody on my left. And then on the other side of Dave, there was a gentleman sitting there. And he ended up moving over because there were 2 empty seats next to him.
Right.
So we didn't have anybody sitting next to us. There was no, elbow room problems or any of that. It was a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
Like we had no obstructed view. We had no obstructed space. We just were able to really enjoy the show. And this is on a sold out day.
Right.
Which was a great theater experience. Like I've had some pretty like not fun experiences in stadium seating before, or different shows, and you're crammed and you gotta like hold yourself. You gotta hold yourself so you're not touching the person next to you, and you're really in an uncomfortable seat. These seats were comfortable. It was great. It was a beautiful theater. It was a really pleasurable experience.
Oh, absolutely.
There were really no negatives to what was happening in this theater. And we watched the show.
Yeah.
So we should talk about the show itself a little bit.
Yeah. The show is, based in the 90s. It's about journalism. Mm-hmm. We have one character, who is basically trying to get through the glass ceiling and get her stories printed.
Yeah, and that character is Robin Martinez, and she is played by Hannah Cruz.
And Christopher behind me, when we were doing...
you're going to sell him out?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to sell myself out as well, because I agreed. Christopher, the Quantum Leap podcast guy, he said that Hannah Cruz was absolutely breathtaking. And, of course, I turned around and I went, because he was walking right behind us when we were going to see Scott Bakula. Yeah, she absolutely was.
Well, I'll even agree to that.
Not only was she gorgeous, but she was exceptionally talented.
She was. She had a beautiful voice. Mm-hmm.
And that really goes for the entire cast.
Yeah, it was the music was great.
Yep.
So as we already said, it's a musical. So we told this story through music. And so Scott Bakula plays Conrad O'Brien, the editor-in-chief of The Connector magazine. Mm-hmm. The big to-do in 1990s New York. They even mention Hell's Kitchen in one of the songs, which is where the theater is. So I thought that was a cute nod that they placed it right where we're sitting, right in Hell's Kitchen. Mm-hmm. And so he works there, and Robin she's just a copy editor, but she has aspirations to be a writer, and she's been submitting stories, and Conrad has kind of overlooked her. That's where we start.
Right.
And then we meet Ethan Dobson, and Ethan is played by Ben Levi Ross.
Yes.
And
also another talented guy.
Very talented. He comes in, and immediately starts getting published.
Right. Basically because Conrad has taken a shine to him.
Conrad sees himself in young Ethan, and so as the play progresses, we watch Ethan's career. Basically, is what we follow. We follow Ethan's career, and we follow the different stories that Ethan has had published.
Yeah.
And in great detail.
Yes.
And we won't go into that because we don't want to spoil too much about the show.
Nope.
A little different than how we normally cover television.
Right.
Where we tell you every detail.
We couldn't do a scene-by-scene analysis on this, even if we wanted to.
But the rest of the cast was great. The whole support. So they were the three leads, right? And then there was a great supporting cast playing different characters in Ethan's story. And then everybody was, also playing just various employees at the connector. And even when they weren't on, they were on the entire time. Because whoever's not in the scene was right in the wings working at the connector. Like, it was beautiful. That they were just on the entire time. 95 minutes, no intermission. And it just kept going. And
Scott Bakula commented on that on his various shows that he was on promoting the show. And he was like, it's breakneck. You don't have a time to spare or regroup or anything. You just got to keep going.
Yeah.
So it was all really well done.
Yeah. So we explore in this show the relationship between Robin and Ethan. They become friends, and Robin gets a little jealous.
Yes. Understandably so.
Understandably so. And Ethan, you start off liking him, right? And then pretty soon you don't like him anymore.
Yeah, when you get to the end, you're like, wow, he really just said that to her? Jeez.
Yeah, so we learn Ethan's not a great person, and we follow Robin's efforts to break the glass ceiling and, as a woman, break into writing. And she ends up doing something that maybe wasn't the wisest move, but for her it made sense, where she went to another media outlet and started writing for them. And eventually we get to the point where the connector is shut down with a story written by Robin.
Yes.
About how we maybe weren't always fact-checking properly.
Yeah. Which unfortunately comes down to Conrad's blind spot. He can't see past his own feelings. Right. So
the basic moral here is we're dealing with sexism. And we're dealing with the struggle that women face.
Even today, which is something that Scott Bakula commented on.
Right. And just trying to keep up with their male counterparts. And how they have to work so much harder to get so much less recognition. And this isn't just true in writing. This is true in so much media.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking with Deborah Pratt about this.
Yes.
Because I had told, I sent her pictures we took with Scott and told her it was so exciting to meet him. Because, I can text Deborah Pratt now.
Yes.
Thank you, Deborah Pratt, for being in our lives.
And
she said she really wants to go see this show. And I told her, I said, I think you'd love this because this feels like it could be about her, right? Absolutely. She was a writer, a female writer in the 90s.
Yep.
Facing not only, that, but also a woman of color.
Yes.
Pulling her way up the ladder. And, she was an amazing writer on the original series, but she never got the opportunity to direct an episode.
Not until the new series.
In the 90s. And she has directed 2 episodes now in the new series. One that
we haven't
aired in the
watched
first season, and one that's coming on next week. That's the next episode. We're super excited for that. Episode 210, The Outsider. Directed by Deborah Pratt. So we're so excited to see that one. And I feel like this story would speak to her. As being a woman who lived through this sort of environment. She... I don't want to speak out of turn, but she invented Quantum Leap.
Yes.
And didn't necessarily get enough credit for her role.
Absolutely.
In this existing. And I feel like it mirrors that whole situation really beautifully.
Yeah.
The whole thing. And so I think she'd really enjoy the show. And what a shame it is that she wasn't able to make it to this performance.
Right.
Where we had this whole event for the Quantum Leap fans. And we could have met her in person as well.
Right.
That would have been amazing.
You know, we got a chance to talk to her, but yeah, it would have been really amazing to see Deborah Pratt
meet
in
up
person.
with Deborah Pratt.
And Deborah Pratt already knows us.
She already knows us. And we
So-
could have taken our picture with Deborah Pratt and Scott Bakula.
That would have been amazing.
That would have been...
Not
I
that
think the only thing that would have made this day better.
I mean, like, this day worked out beautifully.
It did, yeah.
And
we had an amazing day.
meeting Scott Bakula and taking a picture with him and getting to tell him that I like I've said many times, I do not have many heroes, but he was definitely one of them. I got a chance to tell him that, and that's really big.
Yeah. It was great. So yeah, after the show, Jay Schwartz came out on stage and did a little bit. He had a hand link.
Ah, yes. I got a picture of that.
He did a little Ziggy bit.
Yep.
And then he introduced Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Scott came back out on stage in his street clothes and talked to us.
Yes.
He talked to the audience as Scott Bakula.
Mm-hmm.
A very, like, informal, relaxed, chill conversation.
Right.
With I don't know how many seats there are. 200 maybe?
Something like that.
And we just had a chat. They were calling on people and answering questions. And it was very relaxed. It wasn't, this person has to ask and you go stand at a podium. It was very, like, chill. Dave got to ask a question.
I did. I got to ask Scott Bakula a question. Several of my questions were already taken.
Yeah.
So I ended up asking a question about Dean Stockwell.
Mm-hmm.
Basically asking, and I'll show that here, right here.
Okay. I was just curious how much you kept in touch with Dean Stockwell after Quantum Leap ended.
How much what?
How much you kept in touch with Dean Stockwell after Quantum Leap ended?
After Quantum Leap?
Yeah.
We stayed in touch for years. I've been on his journey and he's been on my journey, and we've been on each other's radar for years. There's nobody like Dean. He was a unique, beautiful human being. He taught me a lot about a lot of things, and I'm grateful to him. And as I said before, I miss him, but he made the world a better place, and he certainly made our work space just a great place to be a part of. And he joined us on Enterprise for an episode. We had a ball doing that. And he did an episode of NCIS New Orleans. And so I kept an eye on him. Not a good enough eye, but I did the best I could.
Yeah, basically I was asking him, how much he kept in touch with Dean after the show ended. And, you just saw Scott's answer. And one person ended up asking about the new series. And, we have Scott Bakula's opinion. It seems pretty clear to me. And I'll show that clip right now.
The question is, what do I think about the new Quantum Leap? So, yes, I have watched it. I've watched quite a bit of it. Here's what I feel about it. I never knew if I ever wanted to go back and revisit Quantum Leap because some things are just right, but this is a new time. The kinds of stories that we told and the pace at which we told our stories and the simplicity that we told our stories, for the audience that they want to bring in to watch shows now, this is like 2.0. They're revved up, they've got big stories, they've got a lot of action, they've got a lot going on, and so it's different. So I don't compare it and say, oh, well, we were better. It's just the notion was so simple when we did it, and I just don't know that the world, the new viewers that would come to a show like that are interested in that kind of a simple story anymore. And I think that's what the network felt. And I have said this all along. I wish them all well. I'm thrilled that there are so many people working on that show and putting out the message in their version of the message that we did with Quantum Leap, because I do believe in that. I believe in walking in somebody else's shoes. Man, if we could all do that, this world would be a different place. It's not something that is on my radar to do, and they've been generous in asking me to participate, and I politely declined. But thank you for that.
So yeah, from watching that, it seems pretty clear to me that Scott Bakula has zero interest in returning for the new series at all.
Yeah.
So I think at this point we kind of have to live with the fact that he's not coming back,
Right.
and we have to accept. I mean, I do. I accept that he doesn't want to be a part
That
of it.
he doesn't want to join that production, and
You know,
that's his right.
Yeah, I said that a couple years ago. Like, I'm disappointed. I wanted to see him as Sam Beckett to get some resolution for that character, but I accept and respect his decision not
Yes.
to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Um,
And you know what? Maybe
yeah,
we'll get to see Sam Beckett again in another way.
yeah, which is
We never
something
know.
that Deborah Pratt wants.
Deborah Pratt
to
wants to make a feature film.
Yeah.
Bring Sam home, and
Mhm.
according to Deborah, she's talked to Scott about this. So
Yes.
I don't know.
Right.
You never say never.
Yeah, that's what she said in our interview.
Yeah.
That when we talked to her. So yeah, I mean, like, I think actually from that interview, I got closure to that wound. I think I don't know if I talked about this already.
Does it
but
help to meet Scott Bakula
It does. It does very much so.
and know that he's not lost in time?
Yes. Scott Bakula is not lost
He
in
is
time.
on 52nd Street performing in the Connector
Yes, and we got a
and
chance to meet him.
singing some amazing songs.
So yeah, you were. What else did you have to say about the Q&A?
I think it was just a fun experience,
Mhm.
and we've got clips of most of that. We didn't catch every word of it.
I mean,
because-
I stopped recording because I wanted to raise my hand
Right.
to get a question in, but you have my question and we saw
yeah,
it,
and
so.
unfortunately, the footage I took turned out really horrible because my phone's not good.
Right.
So some of our footage is not great,
Mhm.
but it's something, right?
Yeah.
And so whatever footage we have it included in this, we will include at the end of the video.
Yeah, well,
you'll get to
which
see
we-
everything that we have captured from
Right.
from the day.
That I haven't already included.
And once the Q&A was over,
Yeah.
we were instructed to go out into the lobby, form a line, and Scott would sign autographs and do photos with every single person in the theater. There
Well,
was no cutoff.
Yeah,
So that was
yeah.
amazing.
Mhm.
Like they didn't have to do that.
No, they
They
absolutely
didn't have
don't.
to do that. And Scott and Jay had this whole amazing plan, and it worked out beautifully. Now, we ended up near the back of the line.
Which means we probably would have missed the chance if they had a cut off, we would have been cut off.
Right.
For sure.
We ended up in it, and I feel a little bad about this. The Quantum Leap podcast ended up at the back of the line, and it's our fault
Yeah.
because we approached Christopher
Yeah.
right after the Q&A ended to chat with him and introduce ourselves. And Chris knew who we were from online.
Yeah, that blew me away. Like, I honestly didn't know that they actually knew who we were.
Yeah, Chris went as far as to say, like, oh yeah, you guys are covering like 12 different shows. Or, well, four
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah.
moment. But
Yeah.
yes, that's us.
Yep.
And I asked Chris to sign my Beyond the Mirror image, and I think he was tickled.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't expect anybody to care.
Yeah. If I had known that John was there, I also maybe would have had him included in the picture.
I know, I feel bad that we didn't
Yeah.
include him in anything. And I think we were just like so... There's a lot of things about this day that we're like, why didn't we do this? Why didn't we record that? Why didn't we talk to these people? Why didn't we get this on camera? And it's like, oh, we were just kind of like, there was so much happening.
Right.
We were starstruck this whole day.
Yeah. And we didn't want to miss the really big things. So maybe perhaps we missed some of the small things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
But we got to take our picture with
Yeah.
Christopher. And then all of us ended up leaving at the same time. So we ended up in line next to each other for the Q&A, or no, for the meet and greet.
Yeah.
And we were very far towards the end of the line.
Right.
Which is okay. 'Cause
Yeah,
it meant
yeah.
we got to just kind of stay in the presence of this event a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how long we were even in line. It was probably longer than it felt.
Yeah, it definitely didn't seem that long.
But we were at the end. There was a lot of people ahead of us. And we got to chat with some Quantum Leap fans while we were in line. I had multiple people stop and ask me about Matt's book, which I was holding in my hands at this point because I had taken it out to get the autograph from Scott. And I had one person who recognized the book and was like, oh, there's Matt Dale's book.
Yeah, she said she was stalking you.
Well, that was a different person.
Oh, okay.
So one person recognized the book and was like, look, it's Matt Dale's book. And I was like, yeah, here it is. A different person was like, what book is that? I keep looking at you, because she didn't know what the book was and she was trying to see the front of the book. So I showed her the book and I told her all about Matt Dale, and I told her how she can order it still for print on demand. And she said she does not watch the current series.
Yes.
This person, but
and, she's not like what we call in the hater class.
Yeah.
She has valid reasons.
She said she gave it a shot and only got a couple episodes in. And I said, you know what? If you have a chance, go back and try again, because that show does get better after the first couple episodes.
And I was chatting with her for a bit, basically, and we ended up talking about Star Trek Discovery and some other genre shows, and so that was pretty cool. And we did end up giving her a Linktree card, which we didn't end up giving to Scott. That was one of our ambitions. That wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have done anything, but he would have just like, and thrown it away. I mean, maybe not, but.
So also something that happened in line, and again, Christopher and John were right behind us.
Yep.
So we got to see what their experience was.
Yep.
And there was a group of people who recognized Chris.
Yes.
And asked him to take a picture with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was shocked.
Right. Yeah.
He said, "You know me?"
Right. I mean, it's kind of the same feeling I had when Christopher knew who I was, like who we were.
Right.
So yeah.
And the woman he was spoken to was like, "Yeah, I recognize you from you're the Quantum Leap podcast, right?"
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, Chris, of course people know you.
Right.
You're the Quantum Leap podcast.
Right.
They know you.
It would be more shocking if people knew
if
who
people
I
knew
was.
us, right? Which they don't recognize us.
No, of course not.
I'm sure there were a couple people in the room who have listened to us. I'm sure there
absolutely.
were. But we don't go on camera that much, anyways.
No.
But he was like, "Oh, people know me and cared that I'm in line." He was like, "Scott Bakula is right over there." But
yeah.
But yeah, you're here too, and people do care,
right?
And that's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And so even just standing in a line was fun, and getting to interact with the people and hearing, and then watching, people as they went and got their autographs and took their pictures. The whole thing was just so fun and exciting.
And then we got to you.
And then it was our turn, yeah.
And I took a video of you meeting Scott Bakula, which you can see here. And it was like you mentioned Matt Dale's book, which...
Well, Jay asked.
Oh, yeah,
Jay Schwartz, who was... Anybody who doesn't know, that's Scott's publicist. And he was the one taking pictures. So he has my phone, and I'm having Scott sign the book. And he's the one who said, "What book is that?" So I started talking about Matt Dale, of course. And in the moment, I kind of forgot. Like, I'm talking to Scott Bakula. This is my moment with Scott Bakula, but I was pulled out of it, right?
Right, yeah.
Because Jay asked me a question, and I'm talking to... And I kind of missed my moment with Scott to actually really talk to him at all. But that's okay. And he goes, "Oh, yeah, I heard about that." He'd heard about Matt's passing. And that's when I remembered, like, "Oh, yeah, Scott Bakula. Hi." And I just told him, it was such a pleasure to get to meet you. And then we took our photo. And just like that, it was over.
Yes.
And I tried to capture you getting your autograph, but I was, at this point, they had, once you pass, they push you past the ropes, and I was kind of off to the side, so I couldn't really capture it the same way you captured my moment.
Right, yeah.
But I tried. I got something.
Yep. You got the moment where I completely forgot my stuff.
Yes. You because they also had another person who was, taking your coat and your bag and just, things you didn't want in the picture. They were very organized. They did such an amazing job of pushing this through. Like, you can tell they've done this 1,000 times before.
Yep.
And then right after us, of course, Christopher and John had their turn. So I tried capturing that as well, but again, it's not great footage.
Right.
But it's there in spirit.
My phone is more built for video quality and audio quality than yours is.
Yeah, and also, like, I'm trying to juggle, like, 50 things, and they're trying to, like, get me to move, and I was like, just a minute, I'm trying to take this video.
Right, yeah. But all in all...
Like, we're together, sort of. Like, I'm...
Yeah. All in all, it was a pretty amazing experience.
It was an amazing experience. The whole thing was super amazing.
Like, if nothing else happens this year, then nothing else needs to happen. Like, this can't be topped.
So we walked a couple of blocks, and we ended up stopping for dinner.
Yeah.
We stopped at the Cosmic Diner. It was a cute little diner, and I was surprised. It was reasonably priced for the neighborhood we were in. And then we actually found out we were sitting right across from a couple of women who were at or was it a woman and a man? I forget.
I only noticed
one of
people. Yeah.
But I'd spoken to a woman who said, "Oh, you were at the show? We were there too." Because we were looking at our pictures and posting stuff on social media and geeking out about how we had just talked to Scott Bakula.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, you were at the show. We were there too." So it's like, hey, yeah, we all ended up at this diner, and wasn't that something? We
Yeah,
just met
yeah.
Scott Bakula.
Yeah.
And after dinner, we walked back to Grand Central.
Yep. We managed to find the train again at the Grand Central, and we made our way home.
Made our way home.
And, so Adam was supposed to take Julia home.
Yeah,
But-
so my husband was
yeah.
babysitting Dave's daughter
Yeah.
during this whole day.
But Julia...
And was supposed to return her to her mother that evening.
Yeah. And Julia pretty much being stubborn didn't allow that to happen. So thanks for that, Julia. Yeah, and I was already exhausted and tired because it had been a really long day. It didn't feel like it. It went by like in a blink.
It was a super quick, long day.
Yeah. And so like, all right, now we have to drive you home, and then basically I have to get home myself without crashing. And yeah, I managed to get home alive, and we met Scott Bakula.
We met Scott Bakula.
Yep.
Did we tell you?
Yeah.
We met Scott Bakula.
I don't know if we've mentioned that.
The Scott
Yes.
Bakula.
Yep.
Dr. Sam Beckett.
Yes. He leaped in to put his arm around me and give me the experience of a lifetime. I don't think I haven't met another celebrity like that. Have you?
I don't think so.
No.
No.
My other hero, Patrick Stewart, I don't think I'm ever going to meet him. He's kind of up there in age.
I mean, this was the same type of experience you'll get, if
Yeah.
you go to a convention and you pay for a meet and greet,
Yeah.
you get an autograph and your picture taken.
Mhm.
Which I don't do that. I've never done that. I feel like that's really expensive. And if I start letting myself do that, it would end up costing me a fortune because there's so many people I would want to meet, right?
Right, yeah.
So I don't do that. I've never paid for a meet and greet. The difference here is we didn't pay for the meet and greet. We paid for our theater ticket.
Right, yeah.
And then this was all like, we knew there was going to be a Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
And we had heard something about pictures, but we didn't know exactly what that meant. We were hopeful that we were going to get to meet him and take a picture and get an autograph. But I had no idea, like for
Right.
sure that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then the fact that they made sure everybody got it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like, hand us a credit card.
Right.
They just did it. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, all in all, just an amazing experience.
Amazing experience. And the play was really great.
Yes,
The play was
absolutely.
really great. The music was great. One of the questions asked was if, there's going to be a soundtrack. And he gave a really ambiguous answer.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking that's going to be an announcement that's made officially at some point.
Mhm.
But I'd be surprised if there wasn't a soundtrack to this eventually. And I kind of feel like, and I don't know this for sure, but I think they're aiming for a Broadway pickup.
Mhm.
And it would be amazing. The show's great. It would be amazing if this went to Broadway.
Absolutely.
Hannah Cruz,
Yeah.
the main actress here, she's actually headed to Broadway.
Is she?
After this, I don't have the name of the show in front of me. I didn't write it down. But she is going to Broadway to star in a show that she had actually previously been in off-Broadway that's going to Broadway.
Oh,
so that's her next engagement. She
That's
is
pretty awesome.
on Broadway. So yeah.
Well, she definitely deserves it. She, like I said, she's a really talented girl.
She actually toured with Hamilton.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, with the touring cast of Hamilton.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool stuff.
pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And now she's headed to Broadway. And it would be great if the Connector heads to Broadway.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
would be beautiful. But seeing it in this small theater and having this intimate experience and having Scott Bakula be the lead, highly recommended. If anybody has the opportunity to get to New York in the next month and to go see this show, definitely recommend you do that. You're not going to get the meet and greet like we did. Sorry, that was a one-time event. But go see the show.
Absolutely.
Go see the show. It's great.
Highly recommended. All right. So, do we have anything else to say?
I think we covered everything we wanted to talk about. Again, we're going to follow this up with whatever footage we haven't already shown you.
Yep.
And enjoy our day in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for 100 episodes.
100 episodes. We literally could not do it without you guys.
Yeah, and we're going to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to keep going. We still have a couple more weeks of Quantum Leap. We still have Extended Family. And then Sullivan's Crossing is coming back.
Yep.
And after that, From is coming back.
All good
and
things.
who knows after that?
Yeah.
We have a lot of things we want to talk about. So
Yeah, we have no shortage of things that we would like to cover, that's for sure. and if you guys have any recommendations for stuff that you might want us to check out, we'll, consider it.
Yeah.
For sure.
absolutely.
All right, we'd like to hear from you. What did you think of this podcast? What do you think of our podcast in general, all the way around? Stacie can be reached at.
I can be reached on Twitter, X, Instagram, and Threads at TVN Coupon Talk.
If you like this video and want to support the channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can follow me on one of my Korman Productions pages. You can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can buy something from the Korman Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a copy, which is a new way to, it's not new anymore. It's a way to support content creators such as ourselves. You can do a membership for 99 cents a month. That is definitely new to the channel. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to our channel. Thank you guys once again for 100 episodes. This is Dave and Stacie from Korman Productions signing off.
And we met Scott Bakula.
We did meet Scott Bakula.
Hey, what?
What did you do today?
Well, I met one of my childhood idols, Scott Bakula.
And how was that?
It was pretty awesome. What'd you do today?
I did the same.
Awesome.
I saw an awesome show.
Yep.
And I got to meet Scott Bakula and get his autograph.
You also met author of Foreknowledge.
Yeah, we got to meet Christopher today.
Yeah.
And now we're on the train on our way back to Connecticut. Well, we're in Connecticut, but we're on our way back home.
Yeah. Now I just have to get home and not crash, and this will have been a very successful day.
There's a book coming. All right. Okay.
What is it called?
Who's the book?
Yeah.
This is Beyond the Mirror Image by Matt Dale.
Okay.
Sadly, he's no longer with us.
I'm sorry.
He passed away on Christmas. Let me be like. Very sad.
Yeah.
But
You got the book. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for being here.
There you go.
thank you.
Alright, here we go. There you go. Thank you. Got one more than everybody else. Alright.
Don't forget your stuff.
Dave. I'm going to get his too.
So I saw this on behind the scenes years ago. Nobody knew. Did you used to say like height on the set, and then everyone on the set would say height back?
Yes, that is true.
Thank you.
That's Michael Watkins. It's true. It's true. Height and height. Height.
I'm just getting Chris's as well.
They would say no. It's talking about
Yeah, I
the
figured
height. It's different than height. But that was
Okay, who's first?
Okay.
My name is Chris.
CHRIS. Yes. You want to know silver?
And I need to figure out how to pack my bag.
I'm not in your way, am I?
Thank you so much. Ready?
Oh, God, please.
I can make it louder.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it so much.
My pleasure.
It wasn't a show, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks for being so great.
Can I get a Wonder Twin house?
Oh, sweet.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So you built that?
No, an original Libra gave this to me while the show was still on the air.
An original Libra? Is
Well, a Libra from when we were back then, when the show was actually airing.
You better sit down. You don't do well when people ask you questions.
Our show was airing on Amazon.
All right. That's cool.
Well, it makes noise.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming to the show.
Thanks for doing it.
I like it. I like it. Miss you, Dean.
Hi, how'd you like the show? How'd you like that band up there? Amazing musicians. Jason Robert Brown, Daisy Prince, Jonathan Mark Sherman. What a talented group of creative people to be around, and then to get on the stage with this talented group of this cast is just amazing. Led by Ben and Hannah, it's a real joy for me. I'm glad you all enjoyed it, because it's a special show, I think. I don't know. Questions? Am I you going to ask?
Yeah,
Do I
answer? Well, this gentleman over here.
His arm has been up since I walked out.
Just calm down.
I'm surprised he stayed.
They like talking today and giving Murray a present. Lisa brought Murray a present today, too.
Okay. All right. Okay.
This
Yes, sir.
gentleman.
Yeah, I just want to say it was an amazing show. Yourself and the rest of the cast, fantastic, and the music, phenomenal. And I just would really like to know the process, what spoke to you about this play's musical, and how did you come to be involved in it?
I don't know if everybody heard the question is, how did I get involved with the show and what's the process involved? In August, first of all, I've been trying to get back here to do something for a lot of years. I was in New Orleans for a lot of years, which was great, but there's not a lot of time between the ends of seasons to get involved in anything. So this kind of an opportunity didn't exist for me for the last 15 years or so. So, but I've been looking anyway. And in August, my agent called me and said, Bernie did it. And I somehow knew exactly what he meant. Bernie is the casting director here and producer of the show, and this is his theater along with some other beautiful people. And he had gotten me an offer to be in the show. And I said, okay, well, tell me about the show. And he said, well, it's a Jason Robert Brown musical. And in my head, I'm saying, I'm in. But you can't say that, but I'm saying it. And then Daisy Prince is directing it. I said, I'm really in. And then Jonathan Mark Sherman. I didn't know him at all. But they sent me the script, and I read it. Actually, my wife read it first, because I always kind of get ready to read something, and she's like reading it as soon as it shows up on the computer. And she absolutely loved it, but didn't say anything. And I read it and listened to the music as I was reading it, which is how I like to read musicals. The script, as you witnessed, it's just, you don't see a script like this for a musical that I know of. Maybe somebody else knows a script that's this dense and deep and rich and full of so much to think about, that gets translated into the lyrics and then is woven throughout the whole show. It's just so good. And so I was immediately I would love to do this. And I said, well, they're waiting to get this kid Ben. I'm not sure he's going to be available. And he's this great guy. And everything just worked out. And here I am. And the timing was perfect. And the hardest part was waiting from August to start rehearsal in December. So I had to wait. I just said, I'm not going to start learning it for a while. And then I dug into it. And it's a lot to learn. So happily I had some time. I needed it. Thank you for that question. Who else? Somebody had a question. Yes, sir.
Way back when there were cassettes, my sister got me this song of you covering, singing Somewhere in the Night.
Yes.
I'm curious, throughout your career, how much singing has been like a core part of who you thought about who you are versus just...
Yeah, I mean, I'm a musical theater person first and foremost. I came to New York in 1976, and I did musicals predominantly. I did a few plays, but I did musicals in and around New York City and around the United States for the next 10 years. And then I left and went to LA to do another musical. So music is just, that's what I love, to be able to do a musical on stage. And I love live theater the most. So I've been able, very fortunately, to work music into a lot of shows that I've done. Going back to Gung Ho, I did an Elvis impersonation in one episode and then I did it, as you all know, well, I did it in Eisenhower Lutz. I did some singing in Eisenhower Lutz. And then Quantum Leap, I did a ton on that. And then I didn't do a lot for a while, but I come back to New York and I did Romance and things. So I kept my singing up, and I kept my desire to want to sing. Even as I've grown older, I want to sing more. So, and I've always said, I want to end my journey, performing journey on the stage. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you. You miss seeing me every week? Well, that's so sweet. She seems so real and genuine. Unlike somebody else I've seen her next to. Okay, all right. Thank you. Ignore him. We all do. For 38 years. I can't say that I miss being seen every week because I'm still being seen every week because people, I'm on all the time. That's the difference in the world now is you don't disappear when you go. You can find me. But in terms of original things, I've got my eye on a couple things and I'm working on some things. So I haven't given it up, but I'm a little pickier than I used to be, and I'm not getting any younger. And I had a great. That's what friends are for. But anyway, so you never know. You never know. That's the answer.
He's basically been a character this season on Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah. I don't know. You never know. They've been talking about me, so it's been a surprise to me. So why not? I can be surprised a lot of ways. Who's got anybody? Yes. Go ahead.
I just wanted to thank you for entertaining me personally for 5 years. And today, because I never thought I'd get to see you do a live performance and sing in person. So thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I have great fans, as you all know. They're great people.
Hi. Just getting back to you identifying as a song and dance man. Your time on Quantum let you do so much when it came to music, like you said. Are there any parts of that series that you can remember that stood out as highlights for you to be able to do that stuff, like favorite things that you were able to do?
Yeah, I mean, I had so many opportunities on Quantum to do so many different things. The things that stood out, obviously, La Mancha episode was one of my favorites. Don directing it. It was John Cullum. That was a dream, and then just the whole parallel between Al and Sam, and the parallel between Don Quixote and Sancho in that musical worked beautifully. And I got to do, I was a beauty pageant contestant and got to sing, and Dean and I had fun singing together. I got to write some songs on the show. I just had a blast, and they were so willing to go there. And kept kind of opening opportunities for me to do more music, and people seemed to love the music, so we loved it. And Deborah Pratt was big into the music. She was a big pusher for that too.
England, I saw you in that play in London a couple of years ago. Are there any plans to do a musical in Europe?
Not at the moment, but anything could happen. The same guys at the Chocolate Factory called me about a year ago and wanted me to come do something. A Jason Robert Brown musical, to be quite honest, and it didn't work out timing-wise. So you never know. So, keep looking.
I
will. At the moment, there's nothing.
Okay.
Now, back to you.
Thank you.
I've listened to all the soundtracks from Quantum Leap and Romance. Is there a possibility of a soundtrack from this or
Let's see. You never know. How's that for an answer? There's always a possibility. So that's what I'm allowed to say. So you can read into that anything you want. Yes. Where are you from? Everybody's from there. A few folks from Germany here today, which is fantastic.
And I was fascinated when the spotlight was on somebody else and you were in the background.
talking animatedly, but without words. And I want to know if there was script for it, or if you make it up everything.
A little bit of both. No, there was no script for it. But she's asking what happens when we're miming scenes with other people. I've got all that stuff with Brian Lamb in between the lines while Ben's singing, and then there's the party scene while they're down here and we're all talking. So it happens a lot over there singing. Now what? You kind of find a way. You ad-lib things to each other. You can't talk, but you can kind of read lips and get a sense of what people are saying, and then you play off of each other every night, and it leads you to all different kinds of places. Fergie and I tonight were talking about why he didn't travel more, and I told him that the new Matisse that was set up at Plimpton's house, and he said, "Oh, how do you know about art?" And I said, "Well, my wife took me to Paris a couple of years ago," and I said, "Do you ever travel?" "No, I don't travel." His wife doesn't like him to travel. And, no, she wants Cheryl, it's her name. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. So it's relatively on topic, but it's not strict. We couldn't impose on Jonathan to write stuff for that too. Two more questions.
So I told you they're very, very bossy here. Two more questions, and then we're all going to go outside, line up, and we'll do photos. And, conversation can still happen while we're doing photos. But quickly.
Okay. I have another show today.
Yeah.
So you pick the last two questions. I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
You be the bad guy.
Oh, I have to be the bad guy. So I'm going to go with you because you've had your hand up for a long time, and then I'm going to go with you. Okay, so you first.
My brother was the art director on Men of a Certain Age.
No way.
And he talked about what a unique experience that was compared to other shows that he did because of the camaraderie, not just in the art department, but with the talent and everything. It was all a big family. And I just wondered if that kind of translates to being a musical and creating something new, if that collaboration was felt the same way here.
This has been a great collaboration right from the beginning. And I have to say that everybody here in New York has been so great to me. And sometimes people come in, I've been the New York actor, and people from another, like LA or somewhere, come in to do something. And there can be resentment and there can be a little bit, and they've done the show a couple times before this, and I wasn't involved in it. But they've been just so gracious to me. And one of the reasons why I love theater so much is because you have a chance to really rehearse and work and create together. And that forms a certain kind of bond that you don't get in other mediums. Very rarely in other mediums, because we don't rehearse in television. You get one rehearsal on set before they mark the cameras, and then you go. So that part of the experience, rehearsal, for me is the best part of what I get a chance to do. So thanks for that question. And it's a really, really good group. Thank you. How's the seat? Were you sitting there?
Yes.
Do you hate sitting in the corner? You can be honest.
I got the last 3 tickets.
Oh. Okay, all right. You can't complain, man. Don't complain. But how are the seats?
I'm excited to see it again.
You should go in diplomacy. That's
my question has to do with the topic of the show. It's kind of interesting to see in 2024 when the media organizations that were around in the 90s are either don't exist or are like smaller versions of themselves. Any thoughts about just why now? Why this kind of story?
Well, it's oddly and sadly relative right now, the show. It was conceived by Daisy, I think she said 13 years ago. So didn't come out of anything that's happened in this country politically or corporate-wise at all. It came out of her mind and some events, obviously, that happened in real life that she pulled from. I think that it's oddly relevant, and I think that it's special to be involved in something that has this kind of presence about it. And it's frankly kind of eerie that so many of the things that we're talking about, and so many things that, you know, that we're talking about stuff circa 1996. And, you know, we're all living in this world still where we're trying to get, you know, why are we still talking about a glass ceiling for the presidency of the United States of America? I mean, you know, we're so far behind so many countries around the planet, it's ridiculous. But here we are, and so that center of the story about this young gal who wants to just get a story published, which seems so, well, why couldn't you do that? That didn't happen then. And sadly, you know, how many women are running magazines? A few now, a few. But it's not easy. It's still not easy. The diversity issue is in our face and needs to be in our face until we get it right. And this is a show that can help push that a little bit, I hope. So I
So again, just to remind you, when you exit the